Welcome to paradise. We always need a great investment. The wealthiest people on the planet always need a great investment. You think that Warren Buffett is sitting on his almost $1 trillion? Of course not. It's all deployed. It's all invested in other things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about investments. In a little while, I'm going to explain what we did 30 years ago. Maybe it'll ring a chord with you. Maybe it'll make sense to you, but I'm going to show you my real numbers. So stick around. It's your big buddy Brad. How are you? I am feeling wonderful. I had a little minor surgery, so I'm feeling pretty good now. I was really feeling drained and found out it was a little heart issue. Fixed. I feel 20 years younger. So Cindy's happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy, and I'm happy to be back. What I wanted to show you is kind of the drive up here. Danville's behind us, Stanford's in front of us. You're in central Kentucky. It doesn't get more central than this. You're right in the middle. And this is a nice road. It goes from Louisville out to I-75. This is a big area here. A lot of road frontage on this property. Goes behind right here. The road frontage already started on the right. It's been sunny all morning, and now all of a sudden it's a little bit overcast. Landon will make it look real pretty in the edit, but this is the beginning of your new property. So of course there's a lot of things I need to tell you about. If you're looking for big land, this is like 278 acres, is that right? It's got this stone entrance and a pipe gate, which is very Texas. You know, all the fencing and gates are pipe in Texas, and this is iron as well. You could paint it any color you want. It's black with little white rings, and you could paint it, you know, whatever, green with little red tops, or gold with green and gold would be beautiful. Red with white or something like that. Anyway, you get the idea. You do whatever you want to do. There's a lot of crops here. Let me tell you a little backstory. First of all, we always would say you can afford to buy the land, but you can't afford to buy the equipment, or you could buy the equipment, but you couldn't afford the land for farming. So I knew at that point, this is me now, this isn't you. There's a lot of successful farmers, and there's a lot of successful business people who own big land and let someone else do it. Remember, I've got a video, which Landon will put the link to it here in the card, about a superhero. So I don't have to mow all this, and you don't either. You just need to find a superhero. And that superhero is most likely going to be a local neighboring farmer who will lease this land from you, and you don't have to do the work. That's right up my alley. If I don't have to do work and I get money in, now he's going to make money. He's going to make more money. But what do I care? I don't have to do anything. So he'll take care of the fences. He'll take care of the land. It's his equipment. He takes care of all his equipment. It doesn't cost you fuel. It doesn't cost you anything. You actually just get income. So that way you and your wife or your honey or whatever, or your family can come home after work or whatever and just sit on the porch and drink cocktails or a glass of wine. That's what we do. I don't have to do any of this. This guy is doing everything. And as you can imagine, farming full-time, working full-time, they love him at work because he gets it. He's been there forever, and he gets it. Like, he works. He's not this whole new generation that doesn't want to do anything. This guy's a real worker. I met him, and in 3 minutes I could see he's got a fire in his belly. It came out of his eyes. He is focused, and he's got to get back to work. So he's working full-time, he's farming full-time, he's got family, 3 kids, and he's just thin, right? It's hard to keep up with everything. So if this is what you want, if you want to do a lifestyle like him, that's great. If you want just big land for privacy, for preparing, or there's just so many reasons why you would want an oasis, a compound. Maybe you have a bunch of kids like he's got 3 kids. Maybe you got 3 kids. Maybe you want to put 3 houses on here eventually, or let them build their house on the farm so you can all be together. So the kids grow up with the grandparents, and it's only a short 4-wheeler ride or a little walk over to grandma's house or whatever, somebody to watch the kids. There's like so many different scenarios where a compound, a family compound, makes a lot of sense. That's what we have. So we have a big piece of land like this, and we've got 2 wonderful kids. I pray that they build a house on the thing. I pray that they do what they want to do, move to Colorado or California or Buenos Aires or whatever they want to do. But home is where your friends and family are. We have lots of friends, and we have great family. It would be amazing if they would build right there. We also have friends who just bought 750 acres and are building a 14,000 square foot house, and they have no kids. They just want the oasis. They want to be able to go for walks every day, look at all the wildlife, and it's a great investment. We always need a great investment. The wealthiest people on the planet always need a great investment. You think that Warren Buffett is sitting on his almost $1 trillion? Of course not. It's all deployed. It's all invested in other things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about investments in a little while. I'm going to explain what we did 30 years ago. Maybe it'll ring a chord with you. Maybe it'll make sense to you. But I'm going to show you my real numbers. So stick around for that. Lots of creeks. There's creeks all over this farm, and there are ponds as well. That's not their focus, so it doesn't look like the the $65 million place that you see listed with the beautiful ponds and things like that, because it's not this guy's focus. Now it's got this old house up here. It's an old historic house. I'll tell you, I'm envious of this concrete driveway for sure. But it's this house is long in tooth, and God only knows what it looks like inside. No, I'm not going inside. It's got poison ivy and everything. But I've talked to the owner, and she said they're willing to bulldoze the house, burn the house, whatever. I said, don't do that. Please don't do that, because this house might be a blessing to someone who's a historian, who loves old homes. Heck, you might want to even take the mantles out or something like that and put them in your house, incorporate that into a new build. But technically speaking, this property doesn't have a house, but it's got some magnificent spots for a house. So we're going to go see all those. We have a couple barns that are great. There's one that's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to show that one to you. This is a horse barn, and you just need a little pressure washing and a little paint to make it magnificent. The other barn I haven't seen inside really at all. There is a 50,000 bushel grain bin there that would make an amazing 2-story house. Biggest 2-story house you'd ever see. Or you could Airbnb it and all that stuff. I'm gonna just kind of go past this. This is the bowels of the farm. It's got the silo there, or what do they call it? Ground silo, or they just wrap the hay bales in that plastic. And then of course now you got plastic to deal with, but whatever, that's not my deal. And he's got some fill here with some rocks, and this is the working part of the farm. And if you think it's ugly, you're right, it is. It's a working farm. If you don't want to have a working farm, you can have it very different, because you'll have the time to do the other stuff. And that's the grain bin. That is pretty cool. I'll find out what the status is on the size of that. I'll put an aerial on where you're at right now on the farm and how big the farm is. 278 acres is a lot of ground. That's more than Cindy and I have where we live. You're only, 30, 40 minutes to Lexington, maybe 45 minutes or so to Lake Cumberland. You're kind of right in the middle of a lot of things. They just took wheat off of this. Can you see the rows? It looks like a guy with hair plugs. They just took the winter wheat off. Next thing that goes in here is soybeans. The land is rich and fertile here. Period, end of story. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's good land. The one farmer over there has thousands of acres. In fact, that one piece is like 800 acres. that conjoins. And then this guy on this side owns quite a bit too. I don't know what that is. This is what just came off of here. Can you imagine how beautiful this was? I think because you have a blank slate here, that you could really build anywhere. So you really need to spend some time. My advice to you, if you asked, which you didn't, but if my advice to you would be to come out here a couple different times of the year on different occasions with your four-wheeler or side-by-side, see where the light comes up. I would start with views. And it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe you want to be alongside the creek. Maybe you want to be overlooking a pond. Well, this is the largest pond on the farm, but it's not cleaned up, so you can't see it. I'm going to guess it's about an acre or so. So, you know, it's not like humongously large, but you could dig a more humongouser pond here if you wanted, or maybe somewhere else. It's easy to build a pond here. But anyway, I would start with the view. And the view here would be what I would consider in the pretty daggone spectacular zone. If Landon will zoom in, there's a old machine sheddy kind of thing, like right there. Can you see it? And then the good barn, well, I should say the prettiest barn. I don't really know what it looks like inside, but I have an idea that it's really beautiful, is right there. So you can kind of see your barn, you'd be up here. This would be one hell of a place to build a house. Now, so this is Danville's there. That's the east, right? So the east is out this way. So you'd have light streaming in maybe to your bedroom or to the kitchen or whatever. And then the west is going to be over that way-ish. And so you're going to have sunsets, long shadows. It's going to be magnificent. Like, why wouldn't you build a house here? It's up to you. Take your side-by-side, take a bottle of wine, take your honey, and check it out different times of the year. It's really going to tell you where things are. Of course, we're coming up on the summer solstice, so we're going to be highest in the sky, the farthest over this way, and then in the winter it's going to really move. When you live on top of a hill, you start seeing those things that you might not see if you live in town or if you've got neighbors or whatever. It'd be a big lawn to mow, you know. This field is at least 50 acres. Now, that's just a wild ass guess. So we'll just have to, I'll measure it off on Google Earth. It might be 70, it might be 40, I don't know, but it's somewhere in that range. That's a big front yard. You only have to mow an acre around the house and then just let it grow up. You could plant wildflowers. You could lease this out for big money for soybeans and corn. This is $200 an acre, maybe $225 an acre land to lease out. And then if it's just cattle land or grazing land, which would be beautiful to see the cattle out there, maybe only $50 an acre per year. But at least this is income and you don't have to mow it all the time. Now there are little patches of woods here and there, and that's what's really nice. You don't want just an open field. If you do, move to Iowa. Then you've got just one big field that's 600 acres or 2,000 acres, one big field, all flat and level. Not my game, not my jam. I think this is prettier myself. You might agree. But all these little patches of woods, you're going to have deer and you're going to have turkey. You're going to have bobwhite quail. Now, if you've followed the channel very long, you know that I'm a big Kubota fan. Kubota doesn't pay me anything. In fact, they usually just give me a hard time. I'm only kidding. But Kubota, first of all, they're super reliable. And secondly, they almost always have zero interest. So you can buy one of those tractors for little to nothing down, and you can do zero interest for up to 84 months. Now, they only advertise like 60 months, but then you can buy an extra year or an extra 2 years for, $1,000 or whatever it happens to be. I'm sure it's some kind of percentage. And they're still making money, don't get me wrong. But it's really easy when you only have a 0% loan. Kubota's been very good to us as far as reliability, and there's a good dealer nearby, and I just like Kubota. It doesn't break, and we got a good dealer to come and pick it up for service and all that stuff. Another good thing about having woods is there's always down branches and firewood to be had. You don't have to buy firewood. You can come out, cut your own wood, your own smoking wood for your grills. We love it. Never have to go to the store and buy bags, chunks of wood. I got plenty of wood. Cindy might think differently. Like the 5660, I don't know, I think it's M's 5660. That's going to do 95% of everything you'll need on this farm. And they're not super expensive at all. Let's go take a look at the shop. So this is an old tobacco barn. A couple reasons you can tell it's an old tobacco barn. First of all, it's 2 stories high, but no hay mow. So it's just racks, and you can smell it too. You can smell the tobacco. It's beautiful. No, it doesn't smell like cigarettes. It smells like green tobacco, and that's a good smell. Probably a stripping room in there, but this barn is huge. 4, 5, there's at least 25-foot ceiling at least. So you could drop in a second floor and store hay up there if you wanted. There's also a shop out here. Equipment shed. Let's go look at the horse barn. It's just a feed lot here, but like where you feed the cattle. They'll come in, and all these are new concrete feeders. They're going to go all along these gate panels that look like they're crooked. That's where they put their head in and then go and eat and just stay in there and eat. So the feeders will be on this side, and then you just load the feed on the outside. You don't have to go in and fight all those cows trying to run you over, trying to get to their feed. Nice barn here because you got block on the bottom, which is kind of horse kick proof. All the stalls are steel. This is perfect. This is a great horse barn. And it's 14 stalls, I think she said. And it goes around in a circle. This room's got plumbing somehow in here. So I don't know whether for wash stall or for a tack room or whatever. And then of course you got your hay mow on top. So, yeah, that's perfect. And what it needs is, see, they replaced the boxing. We call that boxing, the wooden boxing. They replaced that with metal and new framing. You could easily do that on the sides. The Amish could come and do that for you. That's a real simple fix. Right now you got plenty of ventilation, but when you get to the point where you want to do that, you can do that. So these median cuts for every driveway, which is pretty nice. Yeah, if you take 150, you just keep going, you're going to be on Bardstown Road in Louisville. Go right on up there. I don't know how much farther it goes.
Just explain real quick that you just make the turn and this is still property.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is all still property, absolutely. Thanks. You're like N.S. Yilmazer's Mikey.
No.
No, Mikey actually has a personality. That makes a difference. Yeah. So this is just the neighbor, and this is actually your land, but they have an easement for their driveway, but this is yours. So it's in the deed. You have to let them use that, and it's in the deed that this is yours. So there's no controversy about it. There's no conversation about it. It is without converse, as we say in the legal world. While we're here, you want to go up the hill? Let's do it. Let's go. go up the hill. This is all still your land. This lot and that house is not, but it's a beautiful house and a beautiful lot. And then another house and a beautiful lot. This is all yours. Human nature is that people are possessive. Now, if you live in the city, you're not possessive, but it's like hyper possessive when you get out in the suburbs, I think. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, are you coming on my land? All that stuff. Yeah, 278 acres. It's cool. You cool. It's like you got better things to worry about. Bigger fish to fry. Now, remember when I said this is where I would put the house? That's right up there. It's in that field. Right there. That's where we were standing. This is yet another barrier to protect you for your compound. So this either needs a lot of help or one match. Never sure. Those are really your only two options. And the best thing to do, don't make that decision yourself. Get an Amish guy to come out and take a look at it and say, they'll give you an honest opinion. And they'll say, you know what, we can fix this, but for the same amount of money, we could build it brand new and bigger. So what do you want to do? And then that's, then you're going to feel good about it. If you just go ahead and burn that, then maybe you shouldn't have. I always like to double check because I think I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know everything. So sometimes it's better to have a professional's eyes on it and a better understanding that, like we just had a guy come out and quote us for our driveway. Now this is a guy who does, $1 million worth of work for us. So I trust him. And it was like $75,000 to put a strip of concrete up our hill. Well, we can build one hell of a shop for $75,000. So would you rather have a shop or would you rather have, I already got a tractor so I can maintain the gravel. It's just inconvenient once a year or twice a year. There's the house. There's the house. Then if you pan to the right a little bit, there's the barn. That's the horse barn. But this is the pretty barn, and it's got that raised comb in the middle. Again, a tobacco barn. We'll go inside and see what we got. There's some noisy birds, aren't they? It's springtime here, so they're making babies. They're I don't make as much noise when I'm making babies. I don't understand. They're making noise when they're making babies. They're making noise when they're building their nest, and then when the babies are ready to be launched, they're making lots of noise. Man, we had some civil unrest on the deck the other day, and all of a sudden I see this thing drop from the ceiling on the ground, and it's a baby, and then 2 or 3 more drops. And I guess Mama kicked the birds out of the nest. And whew, that was something else. Another tobacco barn, you can smell the tobacco. Isn't this beautiful? When we first came down here 30 years ago, we had a barn that was about this size. It was about 30 or 40 by 70. This one's probably 30 something by 80, 70. It's close. And I thought, well, we need to tear this barn down, not realizing that these oak planks that had been there for 50 years or more let ventilation in here. So this is not about keeping warm. This is about keeping things dry. And if you do have moisture in here, or animals who are breathing, they have plenty of ventilation with the slats. Anyway, let's come on up here. Hey, let's talk about some numbers. How can I make this, like, I know the numbers and I can just spit them out, but I want to make it so that it's sensible, so I don't sound like a madman like I usually do when I start talking about numbers. 30 years ago, Cindy and I bought a piece of property really similar to this. Barns, bare land, ponds, creek, all that sort of thing. And it was $90,000. 30 years later, we just sold the last piece of it. This isn't where we live. This was an investment. And we sold the last piece of it. That land has made us over $1 million just on the value of the land. Okay, now let's talk about some numbers first. We bought that piece of property. We had income off of it with tenant farming. We paid it off We borrowed against it, $90,000. We borrowed $250,000 against it. We filled up a commercial property that we needed the money for. We paid it back. We borrowed another $250 on it. It was a line of credit, and we paid that down, and we did more commercial stuff with it. Then we sold off parcels of it over the years, and brought in over $1 million just there. So that piece of property has made us so much money. So you could say, well, why didn't you just invest it in the stock market? Well, the stock market, what you tell me the number to use, 8, 10, whatever, 11, I don't know, whatever. So we're going to just use 8 because it's easy numbers. If we invested that $90,000 at 8% interest for 30 years, it would be worth $905,000. That should be close. But I didn't pay $90,000 for that property. That's what the purchase price was, but I only had about $15,000 to put down. So that's all I had. So I invested $15,000, and in real estate you can leverage. So that $15,000, 8% for 30 years, $150,000. So that's a pretty interesting, fun little known fact of little interest for most people. But in 30 years, 8% is about 10 times. So if I was in the stock market, 15,000, now it's 150,000, but I was able to leverage land, which you're not able to leverage the stock market, right? You go to the bank and say, hey, I want to borrow $90,000 to put it in the stock market. They'll laugh at you. I want to borrow $1 million or $2 million for this. They will give you that money. You just need to put down 10 or 15, 20%, whatever that number is. And you got to keep calling lenders. Not every lender is the same. If you're in California, they're not going to lend on a Kentucky farm any more than a Kentucky bank is going to lend on a California piece of property. They don't understand it. You got to go to a local community bank, or there's a lot of government programs. You can get in for little to no money down and preferred interest rates. But a local community bank is a great place to start, because their rates are going to be maybe a little bit lower and their fees are going to be a little bit lower, but their down might be a little bit higher, whatever. Maybe you're going to pay cash. Everybody's different. But just think about that. We got rich off of that piece of property while we were sleeping, and we had income. So I didn't even figure that in, because we paid it off, and then we paid it off again, and then we paid it off again. So how would you operate with this? There's tons of money sitting on the sidelines. Maybe you just come and you write a check. Maybe you just want to compound. So you're going to sell your place, you're going to put a little money down here, you're going to build a really nice house, then you got yourself a place. You could also think about this. There is a land preservation trust in a lot of states, but definitely in Kentucky, where you could sell off the development rights for this part. And to be truthful, maybe this wouldn't be developable. You can develop it, but there's maybe no need for it for maybe 100 years from now. So why not take the money now? So it's something to think about. And the development rights here would maybe almost pay for the whole place. You have to do your due diligence. You have to do your homework. You have to consult with someone who knows what they're talking about, someone who could be your time machine. Or you could peck around and fumble for 20 years, whatever, but we want to be your time machine. Do business with people you know, you like, and you trust. Us. Give us a call. We'll be glad to help you with this property and other properties. One other thing I wanted to mention is there's a lot of farm stuff. Well, like obviously you want to definitely negotiate and make sure you get those fence posts. Those are amazing corner posts, or maybe a gate for your garden or whatever. And maybe you need a tractor. Call Ken and he can help negotiate that in, because maybe the guy wants to sell it. Maybe the guy will leave it. Like, you just don't know. It's all negotiable, right? Which means whatever's possible, you just got to ask. It's kind of like that ugly kid in junior high. He always had the girlfriends because he asked. Anyway, if you're my age, you get it. But there's a lot of other stuff in this barn, and there's a lot of other stuff in that other barn. You just got to negotiate it out. Again, maybe he's going to want to take it all, and maybe he won't. But we've got a cleanup crew who would be glad to take all this stuff to the recycle. or whatever. Maybe you know an antique dealer who would give you some money for it. That's cool too. And maybe the guy's going to take everything, but that's the negotiation part. Anyway, just wanted to let you know, of course, that's what Ken is there for. Don't go it alone, go with an agent. You're not paying for it anyway. The seller pays the agent. So we're glad to help. Whoop. Look at that, you got a lot of stuff. It's an archaeological dig. No kidding, I mean, some cool stuff here. Why would you not want to keep some of this stuff? Look at that, you can make a redneck walk out of that. Do rednecks eat Chinese food? I don't know. I do. And I guess I'm a redneck because I live in the country. I don't know. I'm afraid to say anything anymore. Really, I don't know what the hell I can say. That's the old stripping table. In fact, there's some tobacco stalks right on there. Cut them off the top of the ground, rip the leaves off, throw them in a compactor. There you go. And that's how you start the new tobacco plants. Anyway, there you go. It's a beautiful barn. There's a magic about barns. You get it. I know you do. Well, actually, if it was red tag, the meter would be gone. Maybe they're just red tags and not red tagged. Anyway, the seller here works for the power company. So if you need anything, there's a line that goes to the horse barn and it's low. I said, you need a pole here. He goes, oh, we can put that up in an afternoon. I bet you can. He's got the keys to the truck that puts the poles in the thing and puts the thing on the stuff, and you know what I mean. You know what the problem is today with everything? Everybody's lazy. Even I went to start it and it says the key is asleep. You have to pick it up and wake it up. Like, really? It said right there. The key is asleep. Nobody wants to do any work anymore today. This guy's a real guy. He's a real champion. You can see it. You can see the fire in his eyes. He's like wired to work. He takes this farm seriously and he's making it work. He's paying for this farm with cattle and sheep and hay and grain and corn and soybeans. We got some light now. Yay. Look how beautiful it is. Where are we going to take off from? Here, or are we going to go to the top of the hill? Let's take off from here. How many of you all remember Green Acres? With the Oliva, with the white shirt and the tie, the pencil tie. Anyway, this is a great lifestyle. You can grow your own beef, or you can have a superhero farmer do it for you. And he will be your superhero, I promise. And then you can make a deal with him so you can still have half a beef or whole beef every year. For me, land means freedom. For me, land means, I don't want to get too over the top, esoteric, whatever, but it's powerful feeling when you own land. And of course, you're making money while you're sleeping. And that's key. So, whatever. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. If you do, that's fine too. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it anyway. But we love to own big land, and I know that you will too. And if you're watching this all the way to the end, like you are, bless you. And this probably hit a chord with you. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad it did. Be a real American. Buy land. Tell people to keep the hell off your property. Get off my lawn, boy. So seriously, it's really not what it's about, but it makes you feel good inside. Makes you feel like a real guy. If this rings a chord, this isn't in your budget, that's fine. Give us a call anyway, because we probably have something you need. We've got one coming up with 4 acres and a small house. Probably going to be in the high 2s, mid 3s, 200,000, 300,000. Give us a call. We always have properties. Love y'all. I really do. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for caring and reaching out to me and seeing if I was okay, which I was okay, but I was a little tied up in doctors and things like that. But I'm really glad to be back at it, and I'm really glad to have my wonderful cameraman Landon with me today. Love you. Yeah. What? Oh,
Let's go see some aerials.
let's go see some more aerials. Heck, I got aerials out the ass. All right, let's go. Woo! But if you say I want to pay 90, if I want to. You know how we make more Kentuckians in Kentucky? Mount and Dew.
You're gonna get straight now. You can't.